Hi, I'm Jim and this is Jim's Fix-It Shop, and I wanted to show you something. I'm working on a 12 horse 1990 engine and it's over there. I got everything done. I'm waiting for a key for the flywheel and it came in. I just got to go get it. But I've got this other one that's identical to it. The model number's a little different, but overall it looks pretty much identical. The only problem is he did, I don't know what he did or whose it was, but he stripped the threads out of the head so you can't put a spark plug in it or a compression tester or a leak down tester. I've had some questions on that. This is by OTC. Now they did not give this to me, I bought it. And I have some questions on how this thing works. But this is what it is. It has two gauges on here. And you have a hose that screws into the spark plug hole and you put air to this. You crank this regulator up. I crank it up to 100 psi. Now you want the engine to be piston up to top dead center on compression so both valves are closed. You crank this up to 100 pounds and this needle will also go up. It won't make it to 100. I don't think you'll find an engine out there that's that good. This gauge is going to tell you how much leakage you have on your piston, your intake, and exhaust valves. And that one over there was leaking, I think it was down to about 60%, so it was pretty bad. And they asked me, well, how do you know what's leaking? Well, it's pretty easy. You take off the carburetor and you take the muffler off and you can feel air and hear it blowing out of these two holes. And if the engine, well, it's got to be assembled to do this. And if you want to check the piston, you unscrew the fill hole for your oil. And on that one, when it had a tube on it, and this one's around here somewhere, with the dipstick, as soon as I unscrewed the tube, the dipstick and cap was bouncing up and down. That's how bad the rings were leaking. But these things are well worth what they sell them for. This was a pretty inexpensive one I got off Amazon. It's got all the attachments for different spark plugs. And it really helps. Before you even tear the engine apart, all you got to do is remove the spark plug and you can tell what's wrong with your engine internally. Now, I did have this whole question came about with a guy's engine was running away with him. It was over revving. And there's only a couple things that will cause that. Your linkage to your carburetor could be stuck. Typically it's your butterfly has come loose somehow. Some of the smaller engines like the lawnmowers, the butterfly slips through the shaft. There's a slot in the shaft and you slide the butterfly in and it can't really fall out unless the shaft breaks. Some of the shafts are plastic. This one is screwed in. Now if you can get a look at that, we'll close it. Let's stick that up here and put the flashlight on it. There you can see the butterfly. And you can see the end of the screw. You can't see the head. On this particular carburetor, you have to knock out this plug. And if you look in here, I could close this. You can also see the choke butterfly. So what you have to do is knock this plug out, go all the way in there, and try to get that screw back in place. Now you can use a magnetic screwdriver. Let me show you what I have. This is a Craftsman screwdriver, and it has this little thing on the end. What you do is you push up on this, that opens, and it grabs the bottom side of the head of the screw, and it'll hold it until you screw it in. You just pull on it and it snaps off. Now a lot of times that's too big to get into position. So I've got these. I don't know where I got them from. This one's a Craftsman also. And it's got this funny little end on it. Let me get rid of this one. This one don't even have a name on it. It's so old. And they also have magnets on the back side. It has a little slot with a detent in it. And you turn this, and it locks in that little slot. Now when you push down on this, let me find a screw. Okay, I found a little wood screw. It's not really what I wanted, but once you get this thing cocked, you see the center part is gone. It's not sticking up anymore. Let me push down on this. Now you can see the center part is sticking up, and it's also twisted. Now you get to pull up on that, give it a little twist, put it on the screw, or I should say put the screw on it and push on it. That locks the screw on the end of that shaft. And it won't come off until you pull this whole assembly. Once you get the screw in place, you pull on it and it pops right off. Then you can put a standard screwdriver in there and tighten it up good. These things are pretty useful. Now I found a carburetor while I was looking for a screw. This is the plastic shaft I was talking about. And the butterfly just pulls right out. So that one can't really fall out on you. Now, what happens to that little screw when it falls out of your butterfly? Some of them have 2 screws. Some have 1. Depends on the brand of engine. My father-in-law's engine, his is a Kohler. That has, it's a 14 horse, sorry. And it had 2 screws in it. Well, the first one fell out and rattled around on top of the piston until it got past the exhaust valve and blew it into the muffler. But that didn't affect the running of the engine because it still had 1 screw in it. When that one fell out, then it started running wide open and he knew what was wrong. This engine did the same thing to someone. And I cleaned this up the best I could. This is what it does to your piston. That was from 1 screw rattling around in there until he got off of whatever machine this engine was on and shut the engine down. I don't know if he took it apart to get the screw out or if it blew all the way through and got in the muffler. Sometimes what will happen is the screw will get stuck between the valve and the seat and the engine will just quit on its own. And then of course, this is what it does to the head. How long did the engine run to do that much damage? I don't know. At 3,000 RPMs, if this thing was running wide open, which it probably was when the screw fell out, it would not take long to beat it up that bad. Now, I've checked this with a light, and I don't see any fractures or holes, but it does have some burrs on the edge of the piston. And I looked in the cylinder, and that looks fine. So apparently there was enough clearance between the actual piston and the cylinder that it didn't hurt anything, because it has to have clearance in there so your rings can expand and seal. And the rings don't look bad. But I had a couple questions on that. What happens when that screw comes out, and how do you know? Well, if your engine running wide open, you know there's only a couple of things it could be. One, it could be the actual governor inside of the engine. This is a governor out of this engine. These are mechanical governors. They run off the gear on the, here's the camshaft. Oh, there we go. Sits on there like that, and that's how it runs. Now, some engines you can check compression, because like this one does not have a decompression on it. So this one you can hook up a compression gauge and pull the rope 3 or 4 times and get an accurate reading of your compression. Most engines you cannot. Here's a piece of crap camshaft that came out of a Briggs & Stratton, and it still has the decompression lever. This wasn't the problem of the engine. And then here's another piece of crap they've started building. It's just a straight knurled shaft, and they press them on in the correct position. And as you can see, both of the lobes are identical. You can see the notch. This had a decompression on it. It came out of my boss's snowblower. That's why I couldn't start it. But the little pin goes in that hole, and it rides in that groove. And you can see this lobe, get it turned around right, this lobe's got the groove in it too. So they just have identical lobes. They press on these things, and they press the gear on the end of the shaft, and it's about as cheap as you can possibly make it. But I hope that answers the couple of questions I got on what happens to your engine when the butterfly falls off your carburetor. So until next time, work safe, have fun, and I'll talk to you soon. So long.